Hey guys, what's up? Pitmarthroy here, and welcome back to Let's Play The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. In the last episode, after completing the water temple, we just grabbed a few quick heart pieces, one from fishing and getting the gold scale, the other from the treasure chest minigame. But that was after we went down to the bottom of the well and obtained the Lens of Truth, which is an item we're going to be using in this episode for the next dungeon, the Shadow Temple. So let's pull out Din's Fire here really quick and light all these torches to get the area actually open to us. And there we go. Time to head on in to official temple, since we don't count child temple. Number 4. Technically 5 if you want to count the light temple, but since we didn't actually have a dungeon per se, not really. The shadow will yield only to the one with the Eye of Truth, handed down in Kakariko Village. Handed down, and we found it in the bottom of the well, dude. But yes, using the Lens of Truth will still reveal secrets, so you can check nearby areas to see what is where and where you should go. This, I believe, is just for the dungeon map and compass. One of those two. It might be both. I think it's just one, though. But every time you go through one of these doors or near one of them, you're going to have somebody, one of the little things on the wall, basically explain to you a little bit about Hyrule's past history. There's some invisible keys in here. I'm waiting for him to come down and try to get me. Apparently they're not, though. Thing is, invisible or not, you can still target them. Oh no, they're actually visible. Must be a different room that they're invisible in. I'll take that heart, though, thank you. You do have to get them, though, because since the door locks behind you, it's a kill all the enemies type of room. This may not actually be the map. This might actually be the dungeon item. Believe it or not, they gave it to you this early in the Shadow Temple. I think it is the dungeon item. Is it? No, this is the map. Okay. We might have to go a little bit farther into this little maze at the start of the dungeon in order to find the dungeon item, because I think it is in here, actually. So I pretty much just keep going right every single opportunity that I get until I can't go right anymore. Did you go around? Okay, yeah, I can't go through that one, so it's in here, yeah. Here we have another dead hand. This is one of the moments where I actually would pull out the big Oran sword to use, just because, once again, not a hard fight, but the faster you get it done, the less time you're wasting, so by using a stronger sword, then obviously it'll take less time. There you go. By killing the hands, they will drop items. It's usually hearts or just green rupees. Nothing significant. It's more so important that the hearts drop, really. These guys will not actually damage you. They're literally just there to hold you in place for this guy to hurt you. There we go. That was much faster. Alright, let's switch back to the Master Sword now. I said I wasn't going to overuse it, and I'm not. Like I said, I'm only going to use it on stuff like that where it's like, I don't need the fight to be easier, I just want it to take less time than it normally would, so. It's still going to take less time since you're using the Master Sword instead of the Kokiri Sword whenever you fought the one for the Lens of Truth, though. This is our dungeon item, and it is the final set of boots, the hover boots. With these mysterious boots, you can hover above the ground. The downside, no traction. You can even use these to walk for short periods where there is no solid ground. Be brave and trust in the boots. Much, much better than the iron boots, that's for sure, but generally you're going to find yourself sticking to your default Kokiri boots because, you know, you get traction on these, you don't walk slow, so whenever you're not actually using them for a specific purpose, you're probably going to stick to the, no, we already went that way. You're probably going to stick to the default boots. So we got the map, we got the hover boots, we got everything we need to pretty much progress through the dungeon. We'll pick up the compass later in the dungeon. For now, we're okay. Make my beak face the skull of truth. The alternative is descent into the deep darkness. So what this means right here is this is actually a little thing right here that you can push and pull, and you have to move the statue's beak to the skull of truth, which is the skull. Whenever you use the Lens of Truth, that does not disappear, so this one right here. Now the catch for this is it's not always the same. It's going to be different each time you play through this game or this dungeon. So You will actually have to check if you're playing along to see which one it is. It will likely not be the same one. So make it face the correct one. And then once you do, just walk a little bit away from it. And if you picked correctly, then the door will open. If you picked incorrectly, the little circle thing that's around you is going to drop and you're going to fall. And, you know, it'd be like if you fell into a pit, you'll lose a heart and come back into that other spot. Let's go ahead and use the hover boots to get across here. You can see that they're a little bit glitchy sometimes with how you grab onto stuff, but for the most part they work exactly how they're supposed to, and they're not annoying like the iron boots were. You're not gonna find yourself equipping and unequipping them all the time in this temple like you did with the water temple, thankfully, so no need to worry about that. Okay, one of these is the actual... Yeah, it is this one. Ow! Jerk. That's the locked door. One of these is the compass and the other one is the key. I believe this one is the compass, but I'm not sure on that. Well, no, this might be the key. We saw a room like this inside of the Shadow Temple where you... Or inside of the Water Temple. Dude, we're in the Shadow Temple. We saw a room like this inside of the Water Temple where you had to pick up all of the silver rupees that look like Rupors from the later Legend of Zelda games, but they're not, in order to open up a door. There is a spot you can actually fall down here, kind of like you could in the bottom of the well if you did, but you can get back up pretty easily. There's a key. I believe there's also another... No, I guess it's not here. I thought there was another key, but no. We only need that one key, though. We can leave. That was all that was in there, really. There might have been a treasure chest that was invisible that had rupees in it, but that's all it would have had. This is probably where the map is. Dude, you didn't see me. You're not even moving. Okay, that hardly seems fair. I had my sword out. He would have walked into my sword. Dude, you're dead now. What the heck, man? These are basically Gyptos. They're the exact same thing as Redeads. They're just mummies instead of zombies, I guess. Oh well, not that big a deal. Trying to think of a difference between a mummy and a zombie. I guess the only difference is if a mummy bites you, then you don't get infected by it. At least I don't think you do. But we found the compass. The compass. Now we can see many things hidden in the dungeon. Ooh. Even though we already picked up everything we needed, really, so... Let's go ahead and use this key and head through the door. I guess mummies were in Zombies Ate My Neighbors, though, for the Super Nintendo game. That was a good game. Hello, you. Be gone. You'll get a couple Skulltulas that'll try to run into you whenever you're walking down this area, so just make sure that you don't run into them. It's kind of annoying, because every time you have to come back here, they'll respawn, if you do have to come back here, if you, like, you know, fall into a pit or something. You do want to avoid that, because it sends you way back in this temple, and also avoid getting hit by the guillotines there, because that will act like if you fell into a pit or whatever. There is a wall master in here, but I've never had problems with him. Just keep moving and he'll leave you alone. You can jump these with the regular boots. Or you can use the hover boots to get across. Yeah, see, this is how far back it sends you here. Which is really irritating. My arm was like going into him right there. Could have just pulled out the hook shot and just would have hit immediately without me actually deploying it. Come on, target him. There you go. But yeah, clearly those guillotines are a little bit annoying, so I would recommend trying to make sure you don't get hit by them. I'm gonna wait for this one to drop. There we go. So yeah, you can make these jumps with or without the hover boots. It's your call. You can fight an Armos if you want. I'd recommend getting rid of him because he's kind of a pain in the butt, so... This one will not reward you for anything for beating him, aside from the fact he'll leave you alone, which is what you want it for. You'll notice that there's a platform rising and falling here, and I don't think you need the hover boots for this either, but I would recommend it, so... hover across and drop down, and then whenever it raises up again, then use the hover boots again and land down here. This is a very awkward dungeon, much like the bottom of the well. I'm skipping a fair amount of, you know, what would be going to Skulltula tokens and whatnot, and just flat out getting what I need. There is actually a gray rupee inside of that Beamos. However, if you walk up to the Beamos, it'll actually count as you picking it up. So if you don't want to blow up the Beamos and waste a bomb, then you can just do that. I think there's a little sign right here. Only one with the Eye of Truth will find the stone umbrella that protects against the rain of blades. Yeah, it's right there. So if it's your first time playing, you would probably need the Lens of Truth. If you played it several times, you probably already knew that was there. So the more experience you've got with the dungeon, obviously, the easier it will be to navigate through. But stuff like where you had to make the stone beak face the right skull, where it's randomized, that one's just left up to luck if you don't have the Lens of Truth. So we're going to try to get this into a spot right there, where both of the spike things right here are being held in place. I'm going to go ahead and grab this really quickly. You actually can't jump attack to reach this. It forces you to use your long shot to reach that token that's just barely above you, which is kind of dumb, but, you know, whatever. Not much you can do about it. So you're just going to keep pulling this all the way across the path until you get to the end here. Because you actually do need the stone block to climb up, too, so you can't just, you know, like set it in the center and then go wherever. You actually do have to use it to climb up. I guess we have to go here first. Climb across this. If you want to open this treasure chest, I think it's just 5 rupees. It's nothing special. But if you want it, it's there. Hit the switch. That will make the treasure chest appear that we want, the one that has the key in it. And there we go. Okay, thank you. One thing you'll notice about playing through the Shadow Temple, and I never realized this personally until I did a 3-heart run of the game, which I did complete. I didn't do it for my channel, but I just did it on my own time. The Shadow Temple, if you're not careful, will do very, very heavy damage to you rather quickly. I never game overed while doing my 3-heart run, and right here you need to use the Lens of Truth to figure out which way you need to go, or to figure out where this moving platform will be. Whenever I first played the game through doing the 3-heart run, I never died, but I did have to use fairies because I died and, you know, the fairy resurrected me. And I had to use 3 fairies, and 2 of them were used in the Shadow Temple. I don't remember where the 3rd one was used, but that's where those 2 were used, so it was... And I had 17 hearts, or normally I would have 17 hearts going in this every time, but I only had 3. And that was such a big difference. I was hearing that little "you're almost dead" noise a lot, which is really irritating, but, you know, I was almost dead, not much I could do about it. Had to try to find hearts where they were. I'm gonna go ahead and just walk over these fake spikes and grab this. This is just 5 rupees again, so not a big deal. If you use the Lens of Truth here, you'll actually notice that there's a hookshot target, or not hookshot, long shot target. I'm talking Twilight Princess again. A long shot target you can grab right here that was actually invisible before. And you can either jump for this gray one right here from going to that spot, or you can use the hook shot to get it, but you have to get it at a very good angle, so... There we go. I actually don't remember where this door goes. I think it's just a Skulltula. Yeah, I think it's just Skulltula. Skulltula and this might actually be where one of the keys is, I'm not sure. We'll find out in a minute here. There are bats in here, so I'd recommend getting rid of those, because I think you have to kill all the enemies to get back out of this room. Thanks for the arrows. I'll go ahead and use one of the bomb flowers, because it's right there, and I don't have to waste a bomb. Blow up that skull. There's the key. Alright. I'll take that. You do have to kill all the enemies, because there's a fire bat hanging around there. I saw him a second ago. Where'd he go? Oi! Sure. Yeah, it was just that one. Okay. Very good. So you actually did have to go in there because we needed that key. Once again, looks like there's no way to get up there. Surprise, there actually is. And remember, these are just invisible. Like, you can still grab them while they're invisible. So if you know where they are, then yes, you could conceivably hit the target. No, I remember this spot. This is where you have to start using the boots for a while. There we go. Nothing incredibly special here. I mean, this is, you know, you could figure out what to do just by looking around, really. The only thing that might get you is the fact you have to long shot right there onto that wood platform, but that's all. Yeah, I should probably use the iron boots going through here, because there's those little fans trying to hit you from every which way right here. We'll actually be using that to our advantage. You'll notice that ice switch actually shot fire at us. That's actually an enemy. It's not like the typical ice switches you typically saw like in the Forest Temple where, you know, you actually had to hit them to progress. Those are actually enemies, which is kind of interesting. I forget what's in here. Besides these two guys, obviously. Is there a treasure chest that spawns? I don't remember. If you actually use Navi right here, there are hints throughout the Shadow Temple that tell you where to go, so you can hear the spirits whispering. It says, "Those who have sacred feet should let the wind guide them. Then they will be led to the hidden path." That's what they're saying. I think that's all that was in here, was just the tip of basically telling you how to progress. So, in this room, I saw you hit me. I'm going to actually try to shoot this guy out so I don't have to deal with him. I think you have to wait for the eye to be open, though. Yeah, there we go. Okay, now that he's taken care of, basically there's obviously a bunch of wind currents right here, and what you need to do is figure out the correct path to go. So, what you'll need is the Lens of Truth, and once you turn that on, you'll realize the hidden path is actually on this one that's on the far right, so you have to get sent by this wind current over there. So in order to do that, you're going to want to get in front of this wind tunnel right here with the iron boots on, then switch to the hover boots, and it's going to send you across, and that's how you get through the path. So you want the iron boots so that, you know, you'll have enough time to wait for the wind tunnel to actually get up to max power, because it builds up. It doesn't just go from 0 to as fast as it can, because you have to be going fast enough to where you'll make it across, otherwise you'll just fall halfway towards it. Nice job, Hot. Be gone, you. And that takes care of that guy. This should just be a treasure chest with 5 rupees in it. They really like screwing with you. You're like, oh man, am I going to get a key? Sweet! And then it's just like, nope, 5 rupees. Have fun finding the actual key. Luckily, the actual key is pretty easy to find in this room. It could trip some people up, but it's not that bad. Basically, throw a bomb inside of this junk thing right over here, because there's a lot of stuff right there, and then the treasure chest is actually invisible. Like all the stuff that's invisible, you can still pick it up, but that's where the key is. I can see how that would throw somebody off, but once you've done that once, you'll always remember that, because it's in such a weird spot. But yeah, a lot of the rooms in here have a bad habit of, like, having you kill all the enemies or something like that. Something really basic that in one of the earlier dungeons would get you a key. And then, you know, instead, they just give you 5 rupees. They're like, okay, you got all the enemies, good job. Now actually try to find the key to get out of here, because it wasn't as easy as you first thought it was. We're actually about finished with the dungeon here. This is a pretty short dungeon, all things considered. If you don't want to get all the stuff that's in here, this dungeon will actually not take you very long. It's probably the shortest dungeon in the adult section. You might be able to get through fire a little bit faster, but even then, the boss fight here is pretty short too, if you know what you're doing. Which, there's no big secret to this boss. The boss for this one's actually really fun to fight. Especially without the Lens of Truth, he's really fun to fight. So we're going to hop onto this boat, take a good hard look at it, and play Zelda's Lullaby to get this thing moving. You'll notice in the cutscene there's actually a Skulltula over here. You can't get this while the cutscene is playing. I really don't know how to get to the Skulltula, but not that big a deal. You can hear it now. But it's actually up in that crate over there. Oh no, you couldn't really make it out. Where that heart was, the recovery heart, it was right next to that, is basically where it was. You can't really see it. No, now you can. Just barely. It doesn't show very well behind the bars, but that's where it was. What the... Was that bomb moving like of its own accord? Look at that! Never seen that before. That's... The bomb would be moving at the same speed. That doesn't make any sense. Whatever. So they give you some armors to fight. You can push them off the boat if you get lucky and they, you know, kind of get cornered. You can fight them normally. You can ignore them. You don't have to fight these like the one we fought earlier. There's no real need to fight them aside from, you know, not having to deal with them while you're waiting for this boat. Okay, there's one of them. I'm not going to bother with the other one. I'm just going to jump off here. Because if you actually wait long enough... Dude, are you serious? Yeah, the ship actually sinks right here. So that would be your cue to get off. If not, you're going to fall into that abyss, so... Get lost, you. Now, the last thing we need, because right there, there's a locked door, and behind that is one more room that is where the boss is located. So we need one more key, and we need one more boss key, and that's what this little section is built for. This is actually a maze. You can't tell because it's invisible, but it is a maze. No, not that. It is a maze. It's got some floor masters crawling around in it, but honestly, I just ignore them. So if you just move in a clockwise or counterclockwise fashion, eventually you're going to get to all the rooms. This first one right here has an invisible floor master in it. As you can also tell, because it just made the same noise that all the other ones did. Now I'm just going to sit here and quick spin until that other floor master comes back. There he is. Because keep in mind, it's been a while. The last time we saw one was the forest temple, but whenever you kill the big floor master, it splits into 3 small ones, and then they'll try to grab you, and if they do, then they'll suck magic energy out of you, which is why they drop the magic jars. And then once they do that, then they'll go back into being a fully grown well master, and you'll have to keep repeating that cycle until you get rid of it, so... Hello, Mr. Floor Master. I'm going to ignore you. So that's where the key was. We still need the boss key. And this isn't the room for it. This is just a Skulltula, I believe. Skulltula and rupee rewards. The Skulltula is just hanging back here. I'm going to grab the long shot. I don't know why the bow and arrow is equipped. Actually, yeah, I do. I equipped it for something earlier, but that's not a big deal. Token's really all you need. There's no key in this room like there was with the first one, because there's only one skull pod in there. I'm going to use actual bombs here, because I don't want to have to try to calibrate. I don't want to try to calibrate cuff this. Whoa, camera had a seizure on that last one. Yeah, so the 2 of the pots that you destroy will have nothing, and it's, you know, kind of luck. Well, no, one of them had arrows. Oh, that one missed too. Jeez. There you go. You played enough basketball to do that correctly. And there's rupees everywhere, and bats. Want that last one? Yeah, 480. Very nice. Since we have the biggest wallet, we're almost maxed on it, which wasn't that big a deal. I picked up the rupees, but hey, I've got them now. Like I said, there's really only one more minigame that I would be, you know, have to have a decent amount of rupees for, and if you play it well, it'll only take 40, but I'm pretty bad at it, so you can look forward to seeing that later on. Right here, you can use either Din's Fire or Fire Arrows in order to get rid of these little wood things that are trying to crush you. Once both of them are gone, go and take out the Redead, and there's the boss key hanging right out at the end of the dungeon. Thank you, I'll take the magic back. That's probably just 5 rupees, but it's got me curious. That was a terrible jump. Yeah, he probably got me right here. Oh, no, maybe not. Out of curiosity, was it 5 or 20 rupees? Yep, 5 rupees. Which is fine, because obviously the real prize there was the boss key.